All right, everyone. How are you? Niiamah Ashong here, playing around and getting into this next year together. I'm very, very, very excited for how things are looking. I just want to make sure if you're not able to reach me on Instagram, I apologize right now. I think it's worth us getting this together. So just checking one last time to make sure our Instagram people can come in and be a part of this as well. But this is our first live of the year, which is feeling really awesome and great. I am really grateful to be here, honestly. It's pretty great to be in space with you and to create with you once again. So what I'm going to say here is this message here, this is really decided to go live because I wanted to go live. And that was actually something that was really interesting to me because there's a give me a second. I want to make sure I'm handling this here. Let me know if you're getting this. Let me know if you're seeing this wherever you are. I hope you had a great end of 2025. I hope your 2026 is starting out with a raucously awesome start. And we're just going to continue. And if hopefully people can come and join us on Instagram. If not, we're going to go from there. All right. Ugh. It feels good to be back. So my name is Niiamah Ashong. I'm the founder of Outliers Edge, which is a world that we're creating to give outliers a chance to practice and be all of who they are and use that to create as much income, impact, and identity that they can. You're here to lead. And what I have found, at least for myself, is that we're not always encouraged or find spaces that we get a chance to explore who we are and put it into action in a really meaningful way. And so that's what I look for here in Outliers Edge. And that's what we're really going to be building into. So we're coming here in 2026, and I wanted it to go live with each of you for a reason. I've missed being in space with you, honestly. And today was not going to be a live day. I came back from the family got sick at the end of December, and then we took a 2 week vacation out in Florida and Disney. I'll be making a lot of videos around the impact of that trip, which was just phenomenal on me. You'll be hearing about that. And I came back into this week after having had what felt like 4 weeks off. Honestly, I came back and I was like, all right, let's get into strategy and planning and what's the vision of things. And we're still in the middle of that time, but it occurred to me that like I missed this. I missed talking to you. I missed seeing this, seeing you here, and being seen by you. And so I wanted to come on here, and I'll make this one fairly short overall. The main word that's coming to my world right now is the word flow. It came at the end of 2025. I had a conversation with Sarah Carlisle Alberton, and in the middle of it, the word flow showed up in it, and that's part of what led me to doing a live videos and beyond. And I felt it was a really great direction for where I wanted to take the 2026 year. Something was interesting as I was coming in. I use these live videos, and my goal here is to get 1% better each time. And so one of the things that's happening in 2026 is that I'm looking to bring more uh rigor. Like basically, I know the game that I play, and I can play it at a really high level. And so I'm like, what does it look like to play at a high level? What does it look like to be more uh, I'm going to say organized, but it's a little bit less like, yeah, let's just use organized for now. What does it look like to be more organized or more prescriptive or more intentional? I think intentional is the wrong level, 'cause I always show up with intent. So it's like, what does it look like to be more concrete with that? And so I started writing notes for what today's session would be. And then somehow those notes got deleted. So, but the one thing I wrote was flow. And I was going to write this is my word of the year is flow. And I realized I'm like, I don't know if it is my word of the year. I know it's my word of the quarter though. For the next 3 months, I want to be focusing on flow, and then we'll see if like maybe by the end of 3 months, flow would be so integrated into me that it makes more sense to go and find a new word to go and build on top of the flow rather than keeping that going. But I know that's something I didn't realize was real for me until I hit record, until I made a decision to hit record. What was interesting with it was that when I was thinking about flow, I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting into. Uh, I hadn't planned this conversation, and a part of me was like, "Oh, does flow just mean just doing whatever you want whenever you want?" I'm like, no, nothing about this is capricious. This is actually just me recognizing that like there's a part of me that longs to be in connection with you all through this. There's a part of me that longs to not be behind the scenes and instead just be out in the world here, and that to me is flow. It's the element of like allowing for some of that to take place. And I know that in this case here, I'm not going to spend hours on it. But I know that there was some part of me that was going to be held back in a really meaningful way for no reason. Like, what's 10 minutes to come on live? But I also feel like it gets me back into the game a bit, and I'm feeling really happy about that. So I want to give you all just a quick update here before we wrap up for today. I want to give you an update on the 10K live game that we played in 2025. So the 10K live game was a game that getting 10,000 minutes live, and I started with that right when I got into Flow. And the idea here was like, okay, if I hit record, then that's gonna like the conversation is already flowing, as in the stream is already flowing, and they call it live streaming, right? So I just put that together. But the stream is already flowing, so once I hit record, I have to be in flow. I just have to let whatever comes out come out, and that manifested into a game. I thought it was going to be a challenge. I wanted something that made it worthwhile for me. And 10,000 tends to be like my general like number. If I'm looking for a concrete number, like I'm like, oh, let's do 10,000 minutes or 10,000 people or whatever it is, right? So 10,000 is generally my benchmark in terms of stretching myself or going for goals, something that's worth doing. 100x, by the way, is when I look at it from a multiplier thing. I don't really look at 10x. That hasn't really gotten me as far as I want it to go. And so when I go to 100x, that usually works out well. And if I only get 10% of the way, well, then I'm still 10 times more, right? So the 10K game came out of that. I realized it was not a quest or a challenge or a goal. It was actually just a game I wanted to play, and it was a game of like, and that way of holding it kept it light, kept me in flow, kept me from having to get it right, and instead just got me to show up. And what I by the end of it here, just so you know, we got about 800, not about, we got 849 minutes out of the 10,000 minutes done before the end of the year. And so I started this in November, let's say November 17th. Whenever I look at my stats, that's where I always go back to the analytics. I always start on November 17th. So between November 17th and 2025 and December 31st, 2025, we got 14 hours of 14 hours and like 9 minutes of live streaming done. And that equates to about 849 minutes altogether. So something I'm really excited for. I'm like, that's 849 more minutes. I was with people, 849 more minutes. I was out in the world. I might say 850, but I didn't earn that last minute. I wanted to say it, but I'm like, I didn't earn it. All of that feels very awesome. But I learned a lot through it. I learned probably the biggest thing, and probably why I hit record here. Why I said, "Oh, if I'm feeling this, I should say yes to this." It's that I with the 10,000 minutes. I mean, it was just so much time to get done between November. The goal was 10,000 minutes before December 31st, starting on November 15th. So it was like 6 weeks to get 10,000 minutes of live streaming, and I was at zero beforehand, right? And so that component, there was something in that experience. It was exhilarating. It was fun. It was frustrating in certain ways, and but it lit something up in me. All right, and that's also with like the last month, me not being able to do very much, just due to family, like things that were happening in my family, and so where with that. Some of the lessons I got from that were not about live streaming per se, but about how I like to work and what works for me, what keeps me in flow. The biggest thing was that, some of the bigger things are that uh, I came in with an idea of let me improve 1%. That's my goal. My goal is for this to compound, to get better by 1% each time, right? But with that, it also got me to think about, well, does it have to be each time I get 1% better? Like that doesn't feel like all that much. And I realized I have 10,000 minutes. I was like, what if I got 1% better every minute? What would change there if I did 10,000 minutes and my only goal was to make the next minute better than the last minute, right? And that really made this game even more fun because it wasn't just about the amount of time I had with it, but it's like, how can I make like continuous improvement? And like an example of this was like today I came on and I used the notes. I turned on the notes feature. I've never used it before, but I was like, all right, what would happen if I had a running list of all the topics that I could be doing? And then as I do it, I just move it down, and I can come in and before I hit record, I can spend some time prepping for the session. And and like, outlining what I want to do with it. But that was a 1% change in my mind. I'm like, oh, this is one way. This is how I've gotten 1% better than the last time I did it. And so the 10,000 minute game gave me an opportunity to have 10,000 opportunities to get better and to learn. Um, I'll share this with you. Maybe I didn't plan on bringing this in here. And this is where I can go with preparation. But I was talking to my instance of Chat GPT and was looking at the year and trying to figure out like what am I trying to get done. I know what actions I want to get to do, but there's a level of cohesion and alignment that I want to make sure that also have, and a level of soul that also is taken on that I want to make sure I'm addressing underneath. Otherwise, I'll do the actions and it'll be empty. And so the thing that came from me was this idea of I'm enamored by client finance acquisition. Client finance acquisition is a way to make sure that every customer that comes on, every client that you have pays for themselves and the next one in terms of you being able to get them in. All right. So I was like, what is that? What is that with time? Because I know I've been looking at this from a money perspective, and I know that that allows me to have an exponential like exponential growth curve in terms of the new members or clients that I'm bringing in. But what would that look like from if I look at it from time? Because I there was something in the conversation that made me realize I was feeling scarce around time. And what ended up coming in from that perspective was the idea of a payback period, which is what would normally happen when the client finance element. It's like, okay, can I make two times what it costs me in the next 30 days? I learned this from Alex Hermosi. So the client finance acquisition, as he defines it, is that your 30-day cash is two times or more greater than the cost to get a client in. And the idea here is that you can borrow money on credit for 30 days, and as long as you're making it back and paying it back within that 30-day window, you will have an unlimited budget. All right, and the thing becomes the only limit that happens is how quickly do you get the money back? Then, right? So if you have 30 days and you make something, you get money, you use your card on day one, and on day 30 you pay it off, then you can only do it once. If you get it on day one and you get it back on day two, then you can do it like 15 times. So every other day you're able to recycle that. And so that payback period became really interesting for me too. And in talking to chat, I know what happened. We were having a conversation around like I'll let you know, and I'll tell you how this came up. So in talking to chat, I realized we made a parallel between the payback period and a feedback loop, and said like it's like the time of the feedback loop is how quickly you're able to learn, how quickly you're able to get the data back and iterate. That's what is the equivalent of time from a client finance acquisition. And eventually, because it came down to feedback, it was like I realized that I'm like, oh, there's client finance acquisition, but it's also like uh, kind of like time finance like learning how quickly, or action finance learning, like I'm still trying to get the right language for it, or maybe it's learning finance creation. I think that's what it is, right? Learning finance creation. And so that really struck me. It really struck me from two elements, because the element of getting the feedback loop and using that as my unit of cost, like a dollar, really made sense. And I was able to parallel it to the live streaming, because I get real time feedback. Like right now, I'm here. Like I have to deal with the consequences of every word I say, every word I don't, the way I look, the way that the lighting is, how the words are brought together, whether people are responding on comments, whether you know about about the community that we have here with Outliers Edge, like so on and so forth. Like there's all these things going. Even as we're talking, I'm looking at it and saying, oh, am I using the same background, or I need to go and switch things up so that people can see me in different with different settings for the video, right? Video placements. And so I'm constantly this work going on, and I'm constantly learning and iterating. And that feedback loop is actually pretty instantaneous. I'm getting things back immediately. I'm seeing how many seconds go by. I'm seeing how many people are watching. I'm seeing what's happening. And there's just a lot of data coming back at me that I'm processing in real time. And so that I realized that became really valuable for me. And I'm realizing now that like the speed of feedback, the feedback loop is one of the most important things that I can focus on in 2026. Shortening the feedback loop, making sure that I'm getting things getting the right information, knowing how to discern the information, making sure that my team is aligned with the feedback loop. Like, so I came back and I said I was going to structure my plan. Like, but what the vision of the year was going to be, do a strategic planning for 2026, and I'd mainly do it alone. So I'm like, a lot of thinking about marketing and product and services, and it's all the things together. What's the offering? How does that all lie together? What do I want to take from 2025? Are we re-envisioning things, so on and so forth? And one of the main things that came up was I was like, I think I need to do better at documenting what's in my head so I can translate it better to other people. Right now, I'm primarily audio. Right. So even though you're seeing my face here, I'm not showing you I'm not showing anything for you to like see visually what I'm thinking about. And I'm like, I need to change that. I need to work on that. I think that's going to be a big unlock, because otherwise, it A, takes me a long time to communicate things, and then B, other people can't follow along, and then C, it's less engaging. Like people won't want to continue the journey, because it's there's nothing that's capturing. And so I was thinking about this originally in terms of me being able to document. I felt like that's my next level of leadership, to be able to document what I'm doing and share it out with people. And so I was thinking about it from the standpoint of my team, and being like, okay, I think I have to I have to figure out everything I want to do this year, figure out all the dates, figure out all the ways that they're coming in, what are all the emails that need to go along with it, so on and so forth. It wasn't like write the emails, but it was just like know that, hey, this is what's going to happen, and we need to get these things to be done in alignment with it. And I was going back and forth with chat, and it helped me realize that it's like, it's not that you don't, because I was just basically like, should I just do it myself? All right, because it just would be faster than having to document it and then go potentially tell my team, or build a team around it, when maybe I could have just gotten it done myself. And chat was like, I don't. It's not that you're afraid of team. It's actually that you lack. You're afraid of like the feedback loop and how long it's going to take, because when you do something like live streaming, you get instantaneous feedback. You find out right then, by the end of the live stream, you know that anything happened from it, so on and so forth. And I realized like that was it. That was the real thing. It was like, how quickly can we learn? So if any of you ever one day want to come be on my team, know that like I'm going to be focusing on like, what is your rate of learning? How do you like look at things? What do you try and do to learn, and how are you taking in things? Because look, I'm someone who typically puts myself in new environments. I'm an outlier, right? I haven't been where where I'm going, and I don't know other people who've done what I've done, or who are trying to create the vision that I'm trying to create in the world. And so it's like I have to figure it out, and that's how it was when I was growing up as, first generation American. Like, I had to figure out things. And so I'm actually very comfortable having to figure things out. But I also recognize that, like, uh, underneath that comes, like, I'm trying to understand what's the process that I've used, like, kind of subconsciously, to get to this point. And a lot of it has come through the feedback loops. And that's what's been really, really freeing. Similar to how the 10,000 minutes was freeing, because I'm like, it's so much that like any 1 minute I do doesn't really matter, right? But it's a collective thing that I do that matters. And most people in the world, once I do 10,000 minutes, most people in the world will never see those 10,000 minutes. But if I can talk about it, like, it has its own value, right? And so I recognize that feedback and feedback loops are like absolutely like essential for this year. Like, I would love here, let's just test one of these feedback loops right now. Like, if you're watching this and you want to leave a comment, just say hi. Like, go ahead and leave a comment. That would be awesome. That gives me a little bit of a feedback loop to be like, hey, is this landing? Is anyone really here with it? But we're gonna be playing with this and be looking at tightening up those feedback loops. And as I wrap up this video, I feel good about ending it here. I have a lot to share with you about where 2026 is going. I have a lot to share with you around what we're creating, but I also want to like just do it, And I would rather be sharing my screen with you and showing you what's happening, rather than telling you about what we're planning on doing. There's a time for that, but I don't think this is the time right now. I don't think we're that big yet. I don't think we have that huge of a following, or that number of people that are looking for that right now. Instead, I think it's all about uh, getting into things for real. So I'll leave you with this. I'm just glad. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. I'm going to be sharing here in real time, so, like, my thoughts, like some things that I'm working with. Sometimes I'll come in here to teach. A lot of times it's me processing. To be honest. Like, it's not even me documenting. It's like, okay, let me process what it is that I've been learning and codify that in a way that becomes discrete for me and for other, like tangible for me and for others. And with that tangibility, I can then go and leverage it in different ways. And what you'll see is this year, what's going on in the back of my mind is that we'll also be repurposing, right? And so my thing here is like, I'm going to come on. This is like my playground. Live streaming. You come in, watch it if you want to, see what it is. Sometimes I'll be really clean, sometimes I won't. But this is gonna be my playground. And over time, like you'll see, I'll play more and more off camera and come on in, or like I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I was just thinking in terms of like polish and tightness and all. But what I'm really looking forward to is being able to bring on a team. I'm talking to some people right now who I think are really incredible, who can help not just clip these conversations so that they're smaller and they're more digestible, but I think it's make it easier for I call it learning enhancing and transformation accelerating. Like those are the two things I'm looking for to see how do we make these how do we take Niiamah's whatever's happening in the conversation, whether it's me alone sharing some of my thoughts, sharing some of the insights, some of where I'm processing, or some of the behind the scenes. How do we take the, or me being on leading an interview panel, or me working with my team publicly on something, or coaching people live, or hosting a workshop, or whatever it is. How do we take that and transform all of those into learning, like not just easier, like shorter segments, which I think is what we've done in the past, like, but really like how do we make the experience better? And the example that comes to mind is in 20, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there, we started automatically embedding captions into our videos because not people were telling me like, hey, I want to do this, but I have to put on headphones. And so we started putting the captions in after we would record the videos, and that made a big leg up at that time. And I didn't look at it that way. I thought it was like what people needed to do in order to be online. But really, it was like we were solving a problem, and we were removing the friction. And I think that as I look at this going forward, like this live stream is going to be my default place. Like if I'm walking and I have a 30-second thought, I'm going to go live and share it, right? Because it's going to the repository of all these videos become the one place that my team and I can come into and extract for gold, and then repurpose it in a way that is very advantageous to people, and not just looking at it and saying how shortly can we make it, but it's like what are the on-screen overlays that would make sense? How do we what's the story that wants to be put together here? How we might even edit or move around some of the order in which I say, so that the conversation flows more um, effortlessly or more directly. Like that kind of stuff feels really really good. I'm really surprised that I'm saying that, because I'm usually like just hit record and go, but I think it's that I've passed that level. I can do that. There's no challenge in it, and there's no. And now I look at it and say, this is, if the word wasn't flow, it would be lead. And I think I flow when I'm in leadership. And so that all of this feels great. It feels like it's service to create real transformation. And you're going to see that Outliers Edge is not. We're not a coaching company. All right. We're now also not a media company, right? We are a transformational experience company. We want people to come in and get things like to change who they are so they can go change their world. All right. And with that, I'm going to be looking for more and more ways to make sure that when when people come and they experience Outliers Edge, they're able to have an experience that changes them. Similar to, and I'll talk about this the next time, but similar to how when I went to Disney, I'm not the same person now. Thankfully for the better, but it gave me a chance when I went to Disney World. I saw like, oh, this is how it is. Um, to put it succinctly, I saw a 11-figure, almost 12-figure business sell magic, on a regular basis with huge volume, without having to prescribe people to go to step one, then step two, then step three, but instead give them app options and access to everything, while also being clear around how to navigate that open-ended world that they had created within the boundaries of the world that they had created. It really was Disney World. And I think that's something I look at. I'm like, oh, okay, I just need to create my own Disney World and know that like I am I when I look at it from that point, I'm like, I'm not, I'm a zygote. I'm barely in the game from a business perspective, but it ends up being really alleviated. It makes me realize I'm like there's no. This is not to be disparaging. It's like I can't do this right yet because I'm barely in this. Like I barely know anything. I'm doing this alone. Like there's no, I can't do it right. So I don't have to be afraid of it. All right, I can just show up and go with it, and we'll keep letting things evolve. So that's a little bit of a teaser towards some of the things I'll be talking about later on. Right now, know that like the game is to shore up what we're doing inside of our school community. I'm making that our home base. In the past, Zoom used to be my home base, and now school is going to be my home base. And we'll see how that works. You're going to see me on live streams a lot, getting ready to start sending out invitations for people who want to come and co-create with us on the Outliers Edge game, which is what I'm playing around calling the podcast going forth. Because I want people to come in and play. I want them to come in and know that we're going to play a game, and I'm going to challenge their thinking, and we're going to grow together. And it's not just going to be interviews. So I do all these things, and it's just it's like what's going on in mind is like everything that I think of needs. I'm at a place where everything is getting rethought. It's the same mechanism, but now we're like, okay, how do we do this at a level of excellence and alignment that you weren't doing beforehand? And I'm like, I want it now. And so I'm learning the patience within to build the patience and what's the path of flow for me. I don't know the path of flow just yet with this, but what I have found is that especially like the live stream has shown me, if I'm working with something that already exists, and I'm working to consistently and continuously improve it, that works better for me than to stop everything, reimagine everything, and then be overwhelmed with just how much more needs to get done. Um, at the end of the day, we tend to get there in generally the same timing. Like, it might take me 6 months between me going in front of live every single day and then coming in with with all the different components, all 300 things that I'm thinking about need to get improved for it. It might take me 6 months if I'm just working behind the scenes, working on it all the time. But also might take me 6 months to just come out here and be with you in person. So we're going to play it out. The latter, though, gives me an opportunity to get more feedback. The other one is me based on all of these assumptions that all have to hypothetically go right before it gets started. And we might be wrong from the very beginning. And so I am, yeah, and since I'm just a zygote, since I know nothing Jon Snow, I'm like, let me just go and learn publicly and share what I'm learning, and get more comfortable with the fact that I don't have to come off as I can lead without having to know everything, and that's an interesting space to be. It's an interesting space to be. All right. Well, I appreciate you. It's great to be back here. I'm going to jump back in and actually go and create here. Look out for me coming in regularly. Probably starting next week, you'll see me a lot more, and we'll just be, we'll be playing a game. Yeah. And if any of you want to talk with me about this or chat with me as I'm in planning mode, I could really use some people to help bounce some ideas off of and codify what it is I'm trying to get done, even in my own head, even if it's not written out or typed out. All right. I'll talk to you later. All right. And I appreciate you. And here's an incredible and amazing year. All right. Until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. Journey.